again, rail fans. It's been a little bit since I put myself in front of the camera, so I thought it was about time I do that by now. Anyway, it is Easter Sunday of 2020, and we're going to do a little bit of train chasing before we have to do our restricted festivities because of this coronavirus outbreak. But anyway, I thought before we got to where we're going today, I'd give you guys a little bit of an update as to what's been going on with me just because of the virus and just the YouTube channel in general. So anyway, first of all, my rail fanning hasn't really changed much just because of the virus. Like most people, I do my rail fanning really alone all day. I'm in the car, no one else is with me. So it's not like I need to really change that. I mean, sure, I still see other people out there trackside, and we do our social distancing thing like that. So I'm still getting out to see trains about 2 or 3 days a week. So there's still going to be content through and through for a little while. The other thing is, though, the only real effect this virus has had on me is that the 2 part-time jobs that I was holding are closed until further notice, which is a pretty big bummer. So that's really the biggest effect that the virus has had on me. I hope all of you guys are doing all right, and I hope you're all staying safe and being smart, because I'll admit, at first, I thought we were kind of going overboard with this whole thing, you know, wearing face masks and gloves and things like that. And sure, at first it seemed like it was going to be a little thing that wouldn't last long, but the state I live in, Connecticut, is gaining about 1,000 cases every day. So I've kind of picked up that, hey, this is going to be here for a little bit, but it does look like it's starting to flatten out, at least up here in the Northeast. I don't know about where you guys live. I hope it's starting to flatten out where you are. I hope that this is going to die out just as soon as it came, and that's what a lot of people are saying. I'm no expert, but that's just what I've been hearing from a lot of different places. Anyway, as to what we're doing today, and the camera's kind of going, there we go. Anyway, as to what we're doing right now, we are on our way over to Canaan, Connecticut on this Easter Sunday, and we're gonna see the Housatonic Railroad, the job up to Pittsfield, just like we always do, except there's one difference. With it being Sunday, with it being Sunday, they leave Canaan much earlier than they do between, Monday and Friday. Monday and Friday, they leave Canaan at about 4:30 in the afternoon. On Sundays, they leave Canaan anywhere between 8:30 and 10, depending if they work specialty minerals over in town. So, we're going to check that out. And the other thing, the other reason I came out today, not only does the entire trip happen in daylight instead of half of it being after dark, but the railroad got another one of its engines back in service. So that means that there are now 2 engines, the Jeep 35s, that are painted in Housatonic Railroad colors. And the camera keeps drifting away over here. But anyway, hopefully we get a pair of painted engines. If not, there's still a couple shots of the leaser that I haven't gotten, the one that has been in all the videos recently from the Housatonic. But anyway, at any rate, we will get the southbound trip leading with the railroad's 3600, which was their only operating engine for a little while. But anyway, we're coming into town right now. The crew was on duty 20 minutes ago, so they should be hopefully starting up the engines and getting themselves set up. So we'll be back in just a couple minutes. Alright, so here we are over at the Canaan yard now, or the engine shops. And here's the 3604, which is the unit that just came back. They sent it out to get some work done that they couldn't do over here in their own shops. They sent it up to Waterville, Maine, and Pan Am did some work on it for them. I had to get some wheel work, I guess, that they weren't able to do down here. Then if you look down here, there's the 3601, 3602, and their Elco RS3, which actually has an EMD engine in it. And those 3 units are all dead, and all for parts, as far as I know. And then even further back, there's a couple of former NS high hoods, which are definitely for parts. The railroad has no other intention except for parts. And the caboose is parked down there. The 3601 and 3602 are actively being worked on, but just for now they are maybe not dead, but they're at least out of service for the time being. The 3600 and the leaser 2346 are not here, but that's what we're hearing on the radio, so I'm assuming they're already out and doing something, getting ready to go north. So we'll take a little drive around and see if we can find the 2 units. Well, we found the train. Here they are, they're shoving south. They're still putting their train together, so it'll be a little bit. But, oh, that was pretty cool. Anyway, now I guess we'll just hang out and we'll watch them switch around until they head out of town. Good smoke show. Alright, so the chase is on. It's about, that first shot was about 9:05, and that was in Sheffield, Mass, as I put in the caption there. Shot was a little bit rushed, so it might have looked a little bit awkward, but hopefully the next shots on our way to Pittsfield and back will be better. So here we go. Alright, so it's coming up on 9:45, and here we are now over in Housatonic, Mass, which is a pretty small town, full of a lot of old buildings, as you can see. This one here is even on the register of historic places, so that's kind of cool. And we're not trespassing, because we'd have to be, I guess, in the building to be doing that. I suppose that's what they mean. Anyway, I think they're doing work down in the rising part of Housatonic, which is just a small section of town, not even a couple miles south of where we are. But I just figured I'd give you a look around at all the older buildings that are here. There's even the old either freight house or station. And then down there's a couple more old brick buildings. So whenever they do come through, it should be a pretty good shot. Oh, they'll be coming from behind us. So we'll be looking this way for whenever they do come through. So shouldn't be too long. Alright, so I did figure out that they are, in fact, either dropping cars off or picking up a couple cars down in the siding behind us, down in the southern part of town. But I figured while they're doing that, I'd just kind of give a little bit of an update as to the channel and content-wise and stuff like that. So obviously you've probably all noticed that lately I've been doing a lot of rail fanning close to home, about half an hour, 45 minutes. It's all been mostly in Connecticut, and that's not necessarily because of the virus. It partly is, but not entirely. I'm just mostly staying close to home just because that's lately about all I've felt like doing. My sleeping schedule has been pretty bad lately, so a lot of the time, just like by the time I wake up, I don't feel like driving an hour and a half, 2 hours out, to the CSX River Line or something like I usually do. That is one of my favorite places to go see trains, but lately it's just been, by the time I wake up, it'd be 2 in the afternoon by the time I got there. And even with sunset close to 8 o'clock now, that's not a whole lot of time out there when it takes almost 2 hours to get there. So that's why I've been putting out a lot of content from Connecticut, like you saw. The couple past videos were the Springfield line. There's a video of the New England Central blue and gold Jeeps up right now, and the video of the Connecticut Southern down the Valley line. So it's been a lot of stuff close to home, and that's really nothing wrong with that. Obviously, there's a lot of good stuff close to home, for me at least, as you've seen on the channel. So, just like today, I'm only about an hour or so from home, which really isn't that bad for me because for the part of Connecticut that I live in, everything is just about an hour away. I have Steam an hour away down in Essex. I have CSX, a Class 1, an hour away. And I have short line freight, like the Housatonic, about an hour away, or the New England Central over in Mass. So everything is, far away, but an hour is not that bad, and everything is pretty much the same distance for me. So that's really why I've been doing a lot of that lately. Eventually, we will be doing some more stuff out on CSX, out in New York and stuff like that, more up in Massachusetts. Maybe we might even see some CSX later today when we get up to Pittsfield with these guys. So anyway, I just figured I'd give a little bit of an update. As I did mention earlier, today is Easter Sunday, and for those of you... Sounds like they're coming. So anyway, for those who celebrate, I hope you enjoyed your holiday. By the time this video is up, it will obviously... Easter's today, so I hope you enjoyed your holiday. Yeah, sounds like they're coming. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed your day, and we'll keep going. Alright, so unfortunately at that last spot in Housatonic, the train was right there. So I was only able to hop out of the car and grab some stills, but I'll put those up on the screen right now. Anyway, here we are now at the old Stockbridge station in Stockbridge, Mass. And this was a active station up until about 10 years ago or so, maybe not even 10. The Berkshire Scenic Railway Museum used to run excursions down here until the Housatonic Railroad took the trackage rights away from them. But you could get on at their museum up in Lenox and either come down here to Stockbridge or come down to Lee. The trip to Stockbridge is a bit longer, but there's a siding over here, as you can see, for a runaround, and it was a nice little trip back when they did it. And now we'll just hang out here. It's a pretty nice day. It's only about 40 degrees, but it's still sunny and there's not much wind, so it doesn't feel too bad out. Especially if you're used to New England winter, this is pretty good weather. So I'll hang out outside until they come on through, and we'll see where they do work next. While we're still waiting here, I figured I'd give you a little bit of a look around on the station. This is now on the, what is now the south side of the tracks. And this is the old Stockbridge, West Stockbridge station. Like I said earlier, this is where the Berkshire Scenic Railway Museum used to run trips down to. But now it's just solely for the line is solely used by the Housatonic for their freight trains. And it's really just a simple siding. A lot of tie plates here. I do know they're going to do a lot of track work on the north end of the railroad between Canaan and Pittsfield. And I heard they want to get it all up to 40 miles an hour. So that's going to make this chase a lot harder. But the cool thing about that is they're going to end up having to run a lot of ballast trains, and CSX has leased them 2 SD70 Max, so there's going to be some big power over here, opposed to the normal 4-axle Jeeps that this railroad is used to. all of the Housatonic Railroad's engines are Jeep 35s, and over the past 2 years or so, they've leased 3 different CSX Jeeps. I want to say they were all Jeep 38s, either Jeep 38s or Jeep 40s. And then obviously they have this thing, the 2346, that's leading today's train. They've had that for the entire time that they've been leasing units. And they've rotated through a few CSX Jeeps. But anyway, it'll be pretty interesting when those two 70 Max decide to show up. They've been in Selkirk for about a week and a half now, and they haven't made it over to Pittsfield yet. So when that day comes, they're going to start running ballast trains, and that's why they're using the 70 Max. I guess they're expecting some pretty big ballast trains if they need Max instead of the Jeeps. So that'll be something to see whenever that happens. But yeah, just a little bit of a look around at the station. I don't really know what is in this building, but I like the old style wooden wall on it. Kind of neat looking. But anyway, before I get off on a tangent, alright, so here we are now set up at the front gate of the Berkshire Scenic Railway Museum. This is that museum that I mentioned earlier that used to run the excursions down to Stockbridge and Lee before the Housatonic took away their trackage rights. But anyway, as you can see, there's an FL9 here, which is now owned by Web Rail. They own the couple private cars in addition to this FL9. And then there's a cut of cars that these guys will pick up most likely on their southbound trip from Pittsfield. So they'll spend about an hour here at least doing work, dropping cars off, picking these cars up, and then assembling a train for when they get back into Canaan. But anyway, as you can probably hear, he's pretty close, so we'll get ready. Alright, so right after they passed the camera, he put the brakes on pretty hard, so that tells me that he's going to pick up some cars here. There is an industry back there that you can't see, but they can only work it going northbound because of which end the switch is on. So I figured I'd give you a little bit of a look down into the yard at the museum here. You can see a couple of Alcos, a couple coaches, and then they've got a Bud car and this old Conrail switcher there. And then they've got a little structure, I guess you'd call it a section house. Yeah, that's what it's called. A section house there that says Yukon. I don't know what railroad it's from, or if that's even the original building. I'm assuming the sign, at least, is original, but I don't know about the building. But anyway, while they work that industry, I figured I'd give you a little bit of a look around, and Alright, now we're here in Pittsfield, Mass, and I believe this is the 2nd Street Tunnel, because it takes 2nd Street more or less over the railroad. I think only about one lane of it even barely touches above the railroad, but they still decided to build a little tunnel for it. And this is where the Housatonic comes onto the CSX. So we're actually next to the CSX Boston and Albany right now in their double track main line. And the Housatonic job will be over on the far right on the 3rd track that you can kind of see. And they're now running as CSX Z542. They don't have any drop-off, obviously, as you saw in the last shot. They were light engines, but they do have a pickup to take south back into Cannon. So they should be here in a couple of minutes. CSX gave them the light, and that also tells me that there's no CSX for quite a while, because the CSX dispatcher surely likes to hold off the Housatonic, even if there's a train half an hour away. So, looks like this will be the only train we see today on the CSX main, and then we'll be going south with the 3600 in the lead, which is what I came out here for. So that'll be pretty cool. So if you look way down there in the frame, you can see a string of hoppers, and that's what they'll be taking south with the 3600 leading. Alright, so it's about 1:30 now, and here's CSX Q427. As you can see, NX12 is still here. I don't know what they're waiting on, but they've been here for almost an hour and a half, and they haven't moved since. So I'm assuming that they're waiting for Q424, because they might have cars that need to go south today opposed to tomorrow. But anyway, here's Q427. Well, I think this is where we're going to end the video for today. It's 3:30 now, and there was a little bit of talk over the radio about 10 minutes ago that these guys are in fact waiting for 424, and 424 won't be here for about another half hour at least. And then you figure it'll be another maybe half hour at least until the NX12 starts heading south, and I don't have the ability to wait here for an hour for these guys to leave, because I gotta get home for our little Easter celebration. So unfortunately, I waited here for 3 hours, hoping that they were going to leave Pittsfield Yard 3 hours ago, because as far as I know, it's pretty unusual that they just sit here and wait for 424 to come in. But they must have some cars on 424 that they need today that they can't pick up tomorrow. So that's my best guess on that. But anyway, unfortunately, this means that I still won't get any shots of the 3600 leading, but hopefully they'll get 3604 in service, and we'll be able to see a painted pair, or at least a painted leader, leading sometime soon. But anyway, kind of a bummer, but oh well. Anyway, guys, for those of you who do celebrate, I hope you enjoyed the holiday. Like I said, by the time this gets up, Easter will have been a couple weeks ago, so I hope you all had a good holiday, even though we can't have our full-on celebrations like we'd all like to. Staying safe is more important right now. Keep an eye on the channel. There will be more content. After today, I really don't know where I'm going to go. One of my jobs might actually be opening up again soon, so that will limit my ability to be out 2 or 3 days a week even. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, guys, I figured I'd wrap up the video here. As always, I'm Aiden Neese, and I'll see you in the next one.